Welcome to my honest opinion.
Roast.
You can fuck the rest because I ain't got time for it. Welcome back to another episode of My Honest Opinion. You're listening to the voice of the comedian, Semi-Cedar. Now, everyone on social media is talking about the fight that happened on Saturday night between Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois. Yeah, and for me, everyone is saying like that Fabio should have been pulled out earlier, because it went to the 11th round and he was taking a beating in there. Do you know what I mean? So he should have been pulled out a bit earlier. Do you know what I'm saying? People are saying the referee should have stopped it, or his cornerman should have threw the towel in, you know what I mean, for Fabio and stopped the fight in, say, the 8th, 9th round. And it shouldn't have went to the 11th round. And I agree with that. I do. You know what I mean? Because Fabio took a heavy beating in there, a beating that he didn't have to take. Do you know what I mean? He goes to the 7th round. He doesn't take half as much punishment as what he took. And, probably takes like maybe 4 to 6 months to heal. Maybe even less than that, 3 to 4 months to heal. Do you know what I mean? Off the back of a 7th round beating. And, he walks out a lot more comfortable than he did leaving in the 11th with all that facial damage and everything like that. Now, some people are saying, "Oh, will Fabio be the same?" Now, I think they're exaggerating a little bit there. I do. He will be the same. Do you know what I mean? But only after a long rest. He's gonna need a very, very, very long rest. Do you know what I mean? He's gonna need more than 6 months rest. So we're talking about 6 to 10 months rest. You know what I mean? Before he can even think about stepping back into a ring to fight anybody. Because his face was beaten, man. Beaten up bad. His face was looking like fucking mincemeat. Do you know what I mean? His nose was pushed into his face. His mouth was out like the fucking elephant, man. His eye was looking like, you know what I mean? Fucking, yeah, it's just swollen to fuck. Do you know what I mean? Close to fuck. And then his other eye was looking like it was closing. Horrible, man. Horrible beat down he got, man. Horrible beat down. And, head's just bruised up to shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, not great, man. He's leaving the fucking ring with your head looking like a hot air balloon. It's not great. Do you know what I mean? So he should have been pulled out sooner. And then that is the debate and the talking point that everyone's discussing on social media. And will he be the same again? Will he be able to carry on? And he will, because he left the ring on his feet. He didn't leave in a stretcher, and we haven't heard that he's in hospital. If anything, I've heard that he's at home now with his family, which I'm glad to hear. Do you know what I mean? Thank God for that. And same for Daniel Dubois as well. Thank God that he's at home with his family, and both men left the ring healthy enough to recover. Do you know what I mean? On a normal one, So, yeah, that's what I'm giving thanks for, man. But for me, I just think, like, the question that needs to be asked now, to be quite honest, and I'm not even shit-stirring when I say this, because I like Ben Davison. I do. I think he's a brilliant coach. He is. Do you know what I mean? You don't take someone through 20 fights, get 20 wins, do you know what I mean? And then on the 21st fight, they get a loss. But you don't take them through 20 fights, 20 wins if you're a shit coach. It don't happen. Do you know what I mean? And that is what he's done for Fabio. It's the first loss they've had on their journey. So I'm not just going to throw Ben in a bin because he made a mistake by not throwing in a towel or telling the referee this needs to be stopped, because the referee went to the doctor twice with Fabio. Do you know what I mean? And, because of the magnitude of the fight and the high profileness of the fight and everything, I feel like the referee was kind of leaning on the doctor to kind of say, no, this can't continue. You know what I mean? And the doctor didn't do that. So that kind of left the referee in limbo, which sounds a bit silly, because you're the referee, you can stop this at any time. But like I said, the high magnitude of the fight, the fireworks of the fight, the volcano of the fight, the lava, erupting out of the volcano. Because this is what we're talking about here. This wasn't no normal fight. This was a clash of the titans. You understand me? And as a referee, it's probably a fight that every referee would love to be involved in. Because that's why you do referee, and you want to be involved in the most biggest fights, the most high-profile fights, right? Do you know what I mean? Until you're involved in them, you know, and then maybe the shock value, shock and awe, you know, stops you from making the right decisions, because he had a time in the fight where he thought the bell rang, but the bell didn't ring. It was the sticks for the 10 seconds, the last 10 seconds, you know, when the sticks clap, it goes, like, you know, to say, right, it's the last 10 seconds of the round before the bell goes. So the man them start trading, you understand me, in the last 10, see if you can get a knockdown or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's to let them know, right, start trading, cause 10 seconds now. What the referee go and do on that? Break the man them up and basically get in the way of the man them and break up the fight. When Fabio was on top of Daniel Dubois at that time, do you know what I mean? The referee made a couple of mistakes, man, fundamental mistakes, you know what I'm saying? That really shouldn't be making as a referee, especially being a high profile referee at that, do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. You know, that wasn't a good look for the ref. And then you know, it's a referee that's known for stopping fights early when the boxers are taking too much damage. So him not stopping this fight and making it go on for long is also another mark on his name. Do you know what I mean? It's another stain on his shirt. And, you know, yeah, it's just weird. It was weird from him, the ref, to be quite honest with you. Just the simple fact that he didn't see the elephant in the room, innit? Like, this fight cannot go on. Look at man's face. Do you understand? Do you know? And yeah, it's a collective effort. If you don't see the corner men doing something about their fighter, it's up to you to do something. Do you know what I mean? And nobody did nothing. And I just think it's so unfair on Fabio Wardley. Do you know what I mean? That nobody done nothing for him to help him in that fight. You know? And I just think now, is this the end of the road for him and Ben Davison? And I'm not even starting like trouble when I say that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be funny or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know, I'm not saying is it the end of the road for them as individuals and their careers. We know they're going to both go on and carry on being successful in their careers, but is it the end of the road for their relationship? Do you know what I mean? Because there's certain things Fabio needs as a fighter, like from his trainer, and he's not getting that. Do you know what I mean? And the one thing that he needs more than anything is the basic fundamentals of boxing. You know, the basic body shape and movement, and you know what I mean? And you know, the basic defensive skills, man, what boxers are supposed to have. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's too all over the place. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, bro, you got to be a bit more switched on than that, and you have to be a bit more tunnel vision. Do you know what I mean? And just more, yeah, you just got to be more in tune with the defensive side of it. And I don't think Ben Davison is teaching him any defensive patterns and you know, skill set, man, what he can take into the fights. I think it's just all offensive. And we've seen this from other fighters that he's trained, like AJ. It's someone that leaves his hands down and doesn't defend. Do you know what I mean? And Fabio Wardley is someone who does it also the same again. Do you know what I mean? And I just think even Tyson Fury, when he was under Ben Davison, he was leaving his arms down and not defending. So this is a thing that he focuses on with his fighters more, which is the offensive side of it. You know what I mean? But you know, you can't just have all offense and no defense, man. Do you know what I mean? So I think Fabio might, and I say might, he might be better off trying to look for a new trainer. You know, someone that can polish that side of his game, because I think his offensive side it comes on leaps and bounds every fight, but the defensive side is very, very weak. It's poor. It's very, very poor, man. Do you know what I mean? And yes, he didn't have an amateur career, but at the same time, he's got a brain in his head. He's not dominant, and he's a very athletic, built kind of guy. Do you know what I mean? And even his movement is very athletic and 1 and 2. So you're telling me he can't keep his legs apart, bend his knees a little bit, and like spring from his legs? Is that what you're telling me? and like, you know, move from his hips. Is that what you're telling me? He hasn't got enough of athleticism to do that, to move out the way from his hips and turn with his hips and 1 and 2 and bounce on his legs and keep his legs apart, you know, and his knees bent and bounce and move and with your hips and twist and turn. You're telling me he can't do that? Of course he can. He hasn't been taught. He has not been taught. You're telling me he can't keep his arms up and tucked in, yeah, and keep his gloves by his chin. Is that what you're telling me? Keep his chin tucked in. So you're telling me he can't do that? Hasn't been taught it. Has not been taught it. In the 10 years, or whatever time that he's been a professional fighter, right, and been in the pro game, he has not been taught. Throughout none of his time boxing has he been taught how to just defend, basically. Just basic defending. You know, the thing they start off probably teaching you before they even teach you how to throw a punch. Now I'm talking when you're a kid and you go into a boxing gym, you know, or you're a beginner, you know. I'm sure like when the coach is experienced and they've been in the game for years and they might even have helped a couple of boxers achieve some stuff in their lifetime, they're going to teach you, the first things they're going to teach you before they even teach you how to throw a fucking punch is the stance, the boxer's stance that you have to have. Knees, legs apart, knees bent. Do you know what I mean? And then lead with whatever foot, whatever hand you are. If you're right-handed, you're gonna lead with your right foot. Do you know what I mean? And keep your left foot at the back, legs apart, knees bent slightly, not too bent. Where you've got a spring, yeah, just bent enough where you're springing. Do you know what I mean? They're gonna teach you that stuff. Yeah, and then if you're a left-handed guy, you're going to lead from your left. And sometimes you might mix it up. You might be left-handed and lead from your right, just to fucking, throw the opponent off. Do you understand me? Yeah, make him think you're right-handed. These times you're left-handed. You get me? So these little tricks, man, that Fabio hasn't been taught. But before that, he hasn't even been taught the basic fundamentals of just keeping your legs apart and bending your knees slightly, just to get a little bit of bounce and spring. Do you know what I mean? And to keep your balance right. Do you know? Like, you ain't even been taught that. And then to keep your arms tucked in and your fucking gloves by your chin and your chin tucked in into your chest. He hasn't even been taught that. And you look from your peripheral view and, you know, your chin's tucked in and you're looking from like the top of your fucking eyes. He hasn't been taught that. Do you know what I mean? So you're not looking them square on where your head's easy to punch. He hasn't even been taught that. You know what I mean? Like, you got your chin tucked in where, if anything, you can dip your head a little bit and it catch you on the top of your head. Yeah? Where it's all bone and these things. You know what I mean? Yeah? Or you're just moving out of the way where everything's all tucked in, you know, it's compressed. You can move out of the fucking way comfortably. Because you're not loose like a fucking octopus. Do you know what I mean? Like, seriously, you need to be taught basic fundamentals. And for me personally, it's no shade on his trainer. Because he hasn't been taught this in a 10-year with Ben Davison, I think it's time for him to leave, personally. Just so he can get taught that side of his game. Because he could go to a coach that focuses on defending now. Do you know what I mean? Where their sole kind of training methods is all about defending. You know? And then a little bit of offense. He needs to be around somebody now that just focuses on defending that. Because for me, his offensive game is up. It's up, you know. The only thing that he's missing from his offensive is the jab. Do you know what I mean? But he knows how to jab. He just doesn't use it enough. He hasn't got the discipline. He needs to go with a coach that can install the right amount of discipline in him for him to achieve these things and add them to his game. Because he's not a dumb guy. He's one of the smartest guys in boxing. When you hear him talking his interviews and everything, it's an intelligent brother there, man. He just hasn't been taught. He just hasn't been taught. You know what I mean? So I personally think it's the end of the road for him and Ben Davison, trainer-wise and everything. And that's no shade, man. Isn't it? All things must come to an end. You get me? And I think it's after this fight, him making that mistake, you know, yes, it was a mistake, but it has to cost him. And I think the cost is Fabio leaving. Do you know what I mean? That is what I think the cost should be, you know. But yeah, man, if you're watching this, you're listening or whatever, you feel like letting me know what you think in the comments. Should he leave Ben Davison or should he stay? Stick or twist, you know, then we're there. But I'm saying he needs to twist and get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? And maybe try and find a trainer that, like I said, they can add some basic fundamentals to his game, you know, and then he can come back and, yeah, he can come back with that to his game, and then we see maybe, you know, we'll get a better version of him, because he needs to up his game, man. It's either he does that, or he just has a couple more fights for money and then calls it a day there under Ben Davison or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, for me, this video was about, is it the end of the road for Fabio Wardley and his trainer, Ben Davison? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, should Fabio find a new trainer? You know, someone that can teach him the basic fundamentals on how to defend. You know, let me know in the comments, man. It's your boy Semi Cedar, you know. Yeah, much love to you all. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, hats off to both boxers, man. Daniel Dubois is 2-time world champion, but you know what? Fabio Wardley, he's the people's champion. I'm going to leave it at that, yeah? Leave Semi Cedar out. Peace.